Hi everyone, I'm Eshaan, reporting for Kids First, and today I am super excited to speak with Mr. Alek Lev, writer and director of What? From film to television to theater to podcasting and more, Alek Lev has been in the creative space for over 20 years. Lev wrote, directed, and edited the upcoming feature-length silent black and white comedy What?, created with a cast and crew of deaf and hearing artists. He also wrote, directed, and edited, and appeared in the feature film Ready or Not. Other credits include Conventioneers, Devil's Pond, How I Met Your Mother, Miami Medical, and I'm Dying Up Here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get started with, why did you feel it was important to create a film for the deaf community?
I will say that I don't think I really looked at it that way. This was brought to me by two brothers, John and Paul Maucere. They are deaf. John is an actor, Paul's a producer, and they had an idea that they wanted to make a film, and they had certain ideas about what that film would be. And then they brought me and they actually asked me if I would be a line producer, which is someone that is really kind of on the ground with a film. That is a skill that I do not have, an experience I do not have. And I told them they don't want me to do that. But I asked, you need a director? And they went, yeah. And so that's how to get a directing job in Hollywood, kids. Just ask. But I said I was interested in directing, and if so, I was interested in basically taking the seeds of their idea and rewriting it. And I did. And so it was a story, it's a story about a deaf person and a deaf actor, and we can get into all that. But it's not like I set out to say, it is very important that I do this for. It's not really thinking of it that way. It was like, these are my friends, and we all wanted to make a movie together. And it happens to be a movie that has deaf producers, a deaf director of photography, deaf gaffer, deaf half the crew, actors, because that's who I work with a lot. And so we're just doing what we want to do to have fun. Obviously, there's a message there. But I think of it more like I really wanted to write and make this movie with John and these other folks.
And what was the writing process like for the film? As a member of the hearing community, how was it writing a film about a deaf actor?
Right. So I've been working in the deaf community for 25 years. And so, in fact, if I attempted to think of any other, I don't really consider myself a part of any other group except the deaf community. Like I have other, I guess I have other, I'm a writer, I'm a director, but those aren't so much communities nearly as much as this. So this is kind of the space in which I've been doing all the creative stuff I've done almost since college. I first took sign language in college, and then I worked at a place called the National Theater of the Deaf in Chester, Connecticut, touring theater company, training, theater training. And while doing that, I was learning to sign. I went on, I worked with Deaf West Theater. I worked with other theaters in sign language. I just directed a workshop for an opera with deaf and hearing actors. And so that's kind of the world I've moved in. So that's not really that it's not, it's no different. I wouldn't call it a challenge because it's a story about a deaf community. It's a challenge because writing is a challenge, and you want to be authentic while being ridiculous. And so putting those two together is really what the challenge was.
So what made you decide to shoot the film in black and white?
So what they came to me with, what John and Paul came to me with, was a story completely different from what you'll see in the movie, but it was a story about that included several deaf people who all used different sign languages. Sign language is completely different across any boundaries, any borders. And so their idea happened to be John, who is using American Sign Language, two actors from Spain who use Catalan Sign Language. They had a German actress who's deaf who uses German Sign Language. And then there were going to be characters that didn't sign at all. And so in their original story, they already had this idea that people would be in scenes together who don't share the same language. And so they kind of got to figure out how to talk to each other. That's not quite what silent films are, but still, I came into this with a certain background in silent film. So a huge fan of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. My younger son's name is Chaplin. I was the vice president of the International Buster Keaton Society for a while. And so I have all that in my life. And seeing a movie that was not going to have a lot of words or signs. Simply put, I thought, well, that could be a silent film, whatever story. In fact, we hadn't even written the story yet. They just had sort of the inklings of a story. So if that's what I'm being definitely given, these actors who use different sign languages, hey, why not? I've always wanted to make a feature silent film. This seemed like the perfect time to do it, but it's not necessarily a silent film, even if it completely looks like one, because it's got sign language. So if you're a deaf audience, it's not really silent to you. I mean, that's sort of a philosophical question. Are silent movies silent to a deaf person? That's very difficult to answer, but it's got clear language in it, as well as a lot of gestural stuff separate from language. But for me, I thought, this is it. This is the time where I can make my silent movie. And for me, silent movies are black and white. If for no other reason than we were going to be weird, we were going to be a little abstract, a little ridiculous. And when you're watching that in black and white, it kind of helps you turn off your reality meter. Because hey, it's black and white. That means it's not real. So other things can be not real as well.
That's interesting. That's cool. And I mean, it's interesting that you've also included the characters who speak Catalan Sign Language and German Sign Language and all the different sign languages also in the film, but with of course, a pretty different plot line, but they're still there. All of them are still there.
Correct. Yeah. And we made a very late in the day editing decision that when we caption there, because anytime you see actual, with few exceptions, anytime you see actual sign language on screen, it is captioned in some way or another. Sometimes, as much as I could, I'd put the words as close to the hands as possible, so the hearing audience doesn't have to look away. They can kind of appreciate the movement, whatever they are, along with the words. But when the character of Don, the main character, he doesn't understand Catalan Sign Language. He doesn't understand German Sign Language. So the translations of them on screen are not in English.
Yeah, they're
in Catalan and they're in German, because you're kind of coming at it from Don's perspective of not understanding it. You're just getting words in your face. I had before you show a film at a festival, which we just did, you have to export it from your computer in a certain way, and you have to give it to a company, and they put it on a special hard drive. And that company contacted me because they thought it was a mistake. They saw the non-English text. They're like, it looks like you're missing the English translation there. I was like, watch the movie. It makes sense. It makes sense in context.
In what ways did you grow from working on this production? You've mentioned that you have a background working with the deaf community, and also you've worked with a lot of films. But how was this different? What did you learn from this? How did you grow from this?
Oh, I don't like to grow at all. I like to fall apart day by day. You mean the film I made 10 years ago was me and 7 of my friends. The crew was me and a cinematographer. So that was just one step up from a handy cam that happened to be an 85-minute movie that cost a little bit of money, but not that much. This was my first time directing a real live feature. We had a 15-day shoot. We had like 18 or 19 locations. We had a main cast between 5 and 10 people, then a lot of background. We had a lot of crew. It was a movie.
Yeah.
And so, I've directed a lot of things, more on stage than in film. And so it was nothing but a learning experience, because you step on set the first day, and the first thing you have to learn is, I'm actually the director. They're actually going to need me to say things to them. And I don't have to convince anyone of anything. I can just kind of say things. And that's roughly what we're going to do, which is nice. But then the joy of casting almost entirely my friends, I've known all these people for a long time, is creating an atmosphere and creating a frame that lets them show off their talents and lets them show off their genius. And that's what's fun for me, to just be able to sit down and point a camera at people who I think are funny or brilliant actors and just let them do their thing.
And I do love the concept of how it evolved, really, from just being shot on a Handycam to now being a solid production. And it is a beautiful production at that.
I mean, filmmaking is hard, but that's not the thing you want to complain about. If you get to make a movie, shut up and enjoy it. There are challenges, but for me, it was great. And again, being surrounded by the people I was surrounded with, I literally would just, we were on set shooting one thing and couldn't come up with an ending to this moment. So I run inside, I get the other 3 folks. I'm like, all right, quick, this is what we're doing now. I need an ending to the scene. I don't know. Good. Great, let's do that. And like, that was quote hard and a quote challenge because we did need to solve it, but that's what it's all about. And if I didn't let myself have fun while doing all of that, well, that would have been a gigantic missed opportunity. And so it was true joy every minute on set.
Thank you so much, Alex, for speaking with me today. What is currently on the film festival circuit, and it's already been accepted to 12 film festivals around the world, including some online, the virtual festivals, and the film will be released in 2022. I'm Eshaan M reporting for Kids First. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss my next interview or review or those of my amazing teammates. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.